Hello, I would like to talk about this trailer because this is the only thing posted by Fat Shark I've ever disliked because it really is their worst trailer. Now, Fat Shark usually, when it comes to marketing material, absolutely knocks things out of the park. And we're going to be directly comparing that to the previous trailer, the Arbites. And today I'm joined by Mr. Rufus.
Hey, hey.
So we're just going to go through this and talk about where the corners seem to be cut and why this is really not one of those times where you can be like, oh, Fat Shark lazy? No, that's not the case here at all. I genuinely feel some sympathy for them on this one. So let's start with this trailer. Now, immediately, straight out of the gate, notice this is the same veteran model. They had to copy-paste reject models, which almost never happens. In every bit of promotional material for Darktide, they use like each individual class wherever they can. They show off the classes in a little bit of a different way. So to see them just straight up reusing a model like this, that's already like, okay, red flag. They probably had to scrounge for time. They probably had to scrap the first trailer and had to make this one in a week, which is just a shitty position to be in. So the next thing I want to talk about, and we'll show this off more with the Arbiter, is that with the Arbiter, they show off everything. Every individual part of the class. Like, it gets its own part of the spotlight. This doesn't. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. So the new weapon with the melee side of the character. You can see the SMGs here. But where's the stims? Where's the talk stuff? Where's the chem? Like, those are critical parts of the class's kit, but they're all just missing. So you can hear the stim
That right
sound.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. This was something.
The first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, this was the first thing that made us like raise an eyebrow with this trailer. That's literally the in-game stim sound effect. And as you'll see with the Arbiter trailer, Fat Shark puts in a lot of fucking work usually when it comes to this stuff. They will make unique sound effects that are heavily engineered, just every little detail correct. The fact that they straight up ripped a sound effect out of the game and did no editing to it, no touching up, they didn't like raise the bass, they didn't do anything. That tells me they were absolutely scrapped for time on this. And another thing, so you can see her doing the stim injection like this, but look at this. Let me ask you a question that will prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Stims are literally a third of this character. So clearly stims are an important part of the new class. Do you think they animated a stim model to show it off? Look, when she tosses it, look, there's nothing. There's no black thing. There's nothing falling. There's no movement. So literally, they didn't have the time to actually make a stim. You know, this is like, they have a deadline to meet. They probably had to remake the entire trailer. I genuinely feel kind of bad for them on this one. Because listen, did you hear that? You can hear her tossing it to the side. Clearly they want, remember, this is one of those times where you have to remember, no team sets out to make something bad. No team is like, oh, I'm going to fucking slack off on my work here. I'm a lazy motherfucker. But the reality is they almost certainly had to scrap the initial trailer, and this was made in a week, which, you know, sometimes you just got to give. That sound effect right there, though, I gotta shout this out. That like cartoony, zany, like donk. It doesn't really fit Warhammer, but very nice. And this is something that Rufus here pointed out to me, that her dodge animation is terrible.
And coming up right here. Like, there's minimal animation that actually plays out there.
Yeah, like, this is something I have experience with, actually physically, like, working with 3D models, moving them around. This is, like, whoever did this, man, you actually did the best with what you were given. So, like, props to you. But you can look, like, she barely moves. They did remember to get her leg in it. But look, like, he was missing this attack as is. And 90% of this, quote-unquote, dodge is just her swinging over here. She doesn't, like, push off to the side. She doesn't dodge. Literally, this just looks like a regular attack. You did the best. I'm sure you want to highlight the fact that she's all about mobility and dodging, because that's another thing. She moves less than the Arbiter does in this trailer. Yet this is supposed to be the hyper movement, like high speed aggressive class, and the Arbiter is the slow armored tanky class. Yet she's less movement. There's less animation happening with her here. That's what proves beyond a shadow of a doubt to me that they really wanted to do more, but had something limit them, like constraints wise. I like this. This is called a hero pose. This is when you, like, they've even got the light beaming down. But again, this is what I mean, though. Like, they literally just have a light source at the top of this scene, literally beaming on the character to try and show them off with, like, the reflections and god rays and shit. Whereas if we just go to the Arbites trailer, they make such a better usage of light all throughout it. Like, it just looks a million times more cinematic. I mean, you can see this. There's way more complexity and depth in these colors, whereas this is so harsh and flat. It really is just like, we got to get a trailer out. We got to show this off. Also, this right here, this is something else Rufus pointed out to me. Okay, well, no, hold on. First, this is something that I pointed out, and this is what proves to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that Fat Shark is actually not lazy. Look at their faces. Look at their faces. Do you see how their faces don't move? None of their armor has, like, fizz bones on it. None of their armor moves. The arms that are locked in place like this are 100% stiff and not moving whatsoever. You see this? The entire time. There's no animation. There's no detailing on anything. Literally nothing is happening anywhere here. Literally nothing is happening anywhere on these models. These are just stock, unedited. The in-game models, the actual gameplay, has a more cinematic look than this when the enemies are running at you. And if that ever happens, that the enemies with their AI turned on, usually in the games industry, it's the other way around. The cinematic trailer looks better than the final product, and you kind of get clickbaited into thinking it's better than it's going to be. This looks worse than the actual game does. Which is, you know, which is all sorts of backwards.
Shocking. Yeah.
And we can show this off really quickly, easily, because we're going to do this one as well. But just look at this. Look at this guy, right? Look at this guy throughout this trailer. A huge portion of this trailer is the little details, the little animations, the fear on this guy's face. The way the lighting from the bolter shots or the shotgun shots reflect and show his, like, sweat on his face. The little, like, tumble he does here. How the cloth is, like, desperately flailing around as he, like, tries to run from the Lex. You know, you can see, like,
yeah, you see the fear on, not just like his face, so you can convey fear through the eyes well. This is just his mouth. You see him trying to steal his resolve. You're playing out the entire complexity of human emotion going on here. This shows that Fat Shark has the talent to pull this off. But something clearly went wrong with this new trailer where you get none of that.
And just look at this model. Look at how much higher quality this environment is. Look at this concrete. Every little, like, groove was fully detailed out. Like, someone had to go into Blender and, like, individually fucking etch every single one of these grooves. Then another artist had to come in, like, you drop the material on it, and then they have to go through, like, texturing and, like, make all of these little individual grooves. This was all done by hand. Like, all of this was done by hand. This was probably fucking painstaking to really make sure this shot was perfect. Then you look at this area and it's like, okay, you know, it's like 90% of it is fog, so you don't get to see it, which tells me that that's the oldest trick in the book with game development. If you aren't, you know, if you don't get to put a bunch of time into something, obscure it with fog. That's like the oldest trick in the book. But this was something that Rufus pointed out to me. The guns just appear in her hands. Look, so in the last scene before this, she was holding her crowbar. And look, now she's just magically holding the guns. You can look from here. She's holding the crowbar. She's walking up. She doesn't, you know, she does the attack. She doesn't pull out the weapons. There's no cool animation. There's no, like, pull the guns out. I guarantee you there is an animator at Fat Shark that would have fucking loved to have her do this double attack, drop the crowbar, reach behind her in slow motion, slowly pull the guns out as they're fucking twirling, like twirling a fucking magazine into them, and then she, like, screams and, like, shoots full blast down the hallway. I guarantee you they would have done something like that if they had more time. But look, it's literally just, See, like, maybe she drops the crowbar here, but there's no sound effect. So either they forgot to put the, like, metal sound effect like they did, or they're just hoping it's just one of those things that put it off screen and hope they don't realize. But look, you can see the guns are still on her back here, and then in the it literally goes from a static shot to another static shot, just with the model being different. That is, I promise you, Fat Shark would never do that in, like, normal circumstances. And then this, the actual animation of her entire, like, main body is obscured. Notice, the moment she would start to move, it gets completely obscured by these guys. And then again, look, we go from static shot into this static shot. And this is just a static low angle. So look, you know, static angle here into static here.
I mean, it's not just the angle, it's like the pose itself. It's very stiff, very simple. Whereas you see the entire range of human motion playing out across multiple characters in the Arbites trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
And the dog too, like everyone was moving in that one.
Yeah, and now we're gonna look at the Arbites one for some comparison.
I'm in defiance of the Emperor's law.
There's more, like, they probably had more time just to animate his face talking than they did. I mean, you already see more facial animation in the first 5 seconds of this trailer than that one.
You cannot hide. You cannot escape.
Dude, the other thing, the body language of the cultist here is really striking. Like, they're angry, they're mad, they're like, yeah, come and get us! Fucking Emperor Lapdog, come and get us! I'd like to see you try! They're not, like, intimidated at all right now. You know, until, like, the Arbiter starts... Yeah, exactly. Then it hits them, and then they're like, oh. And now the shock starts to shed in. They hear the screams of their allies, and then this happens. And this is what I mean. Like, do you not... Like, look at this and tell me, if Fat Shark was able to, would they have not put a bigger focus on the stims? I think they would have. Also, did you hear that? The gun sound effects? Completely unique gun sound. This doesn't show up anywhere in Darktide. Right there. That, like, that doesn't show up anywhere in Darktide. So usually for these trailers, they quite like to go that extra mile and, like, engineer new sounds just to, like, better fit the feel of the trailer. So right here, as soon as the dog hits, they're shattered. Look at the shock on his face. Like, you can't see his eyes at all, but they have so strikingly conveyed what this guy's feeling right now, which is really impressive because the eyes do some, like, 80% of your emotional conveying to people. So, like, if you want to... That's why people are suspicious when you cover your face in photos and stuff, because, like, the eyes especially, they say the eyes are the window to the soul. So without any of that, just the bottom half of the face, Fat Shark can still display that this guy is like, oh my god, I'm about to die. I'm actually about to die right now. As soon as he starts seeing his buddies die, like this, we just see the back of this guy's head, and he's like, huh? What? Oh, I gotta get back to shooting! And listen to how bassy and thumpy everything is. It really, like, you know, it really, like, emphasizes that the Arbiter is, like, hard-hitting and impactful. You know, as soon as he hears the Arbiter talking, and he's like, oh, this is an Arbiter! Oh my god, this is an Arbiter! I need to get out of here! Also that, the fume, the bullets going by, like, listen to this. We're gonna listen to this, like, slower. Really focus on this shotgun going by him. Look at how much effort they put into making sure it, like, represents the game's directional soundscape. This is, like, some shit you'd hear in, like, the theater. Like that, like the fume. You know, that's...
You can feel that in your left ear, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that was really well made. And there's multiple times. Like that, you can hear that in your right ear. Like, they even do the directional, like, 8D, not Realtek. I forget who makes it. I had to get the Final Fantasy 14 package for, like, $20 for it. It's like that, like, 8D, like, audio thing. They use this same tech in theaters. Oh, man. It's so cool. You can hear him so clearly now. And And look at the effective use of lighting. He's confused. He doesn't know what's going on. He's scared. He's confused. He's like hyperventilating. But meanwhile, in the background, we, the audience, we also are confused. Who the fuck is coming? Who the fuck is this? What's going on? We don't know. We just see lights and loud bassy thumps. Who's fighting who? Is this the rejects? You know, like, we don't even know who it is. Why is he shooting over here, but bullets are here? You know, like what's going on? We're just as confused as this guy is. And look at how the lighting reflects off this model as well. Look at this. Look at it. It reflects off the metal. It doesn't collide with the green lighting from before. You can see every little groove on the gun. I was going off about this last night, talking about Call of Duty 3D models, but like every little groove is like double-sided and everything, and like the lighting perfectly reflects that. You can see the regular lighting from the previous part of the scene reflected on this groove, and then the red lighting on this groove, because based on how this is coming onto this part of the metal, you can see the light sources up here, but they've obscured that perfectly. It looks like just an alarm, but it's coming in exactly how they want, so that there's like this orange tint coming in this way that makes the red look even more menacing. Like this takes skill.
Another thing, the subtle animation and all the volumetric fog in the background. I'm not sure you get that in the new trailer quite as much either. There's a lot of post-processing that went into this one.
Yeah, exactly. Like this. Like, look, as soon as this guy, like, you can see this dude's shadow falling through the fog. And it's when everything is slow and stops, he finally hypes himself up and just... Because, look, he doesn't know where the guy's at either. And just... And as soon as the music drops, it's the traditional darktide orchestra.
Talk about a great reveal, huh?
Yeah, seriously. The dog slowly walks into frame too. Dude, listen to the click of the shotgun shell. Like, even that had effort put into it. Look at this. Look, they added like a smoke trail just for it. Every single frame starts new. The shell was fully animated. Hey, this is better than Call of Duty. They don't even do this in the COD trailers. Then look, as soon as it hits, it doesn't just disappear. Do you know how easily they could have just made this thing bounce into the smoke and forgot about it? But instead, look, it goes off. And then look, even as it's rolling into the smoke, they fully made sure to keep it in frame as it's rolling into the smoke. They were that fucking confident in it. Even Call of Duty with their $1 billion budget doesn't do that. And then the little like the falling of the shell, that's a unique sound as well. And then I love this as well.
Growl of the dog, yeah.
Yeah, I love this. I love how there's this quiet moment that gets filled by the ominous, like, of the dog. So that, like, that's the final note of the trailer. You can even hear the mechanical hum of, like, the Nos Sequelialis or whatever the fuck. Another thing I'd like to point out that raises my sus meter. Do you see how less, like, I don't know if YouTube compression is gonna do this one justice. This might be required you to use your eyes yourself and look at this. But do you see how there's, like, very little pixelation in the volumetric fog? YouTube compresses, yeah, like this right here, this looks really bad. YouTube destroys dark spots and fogs with volumetric lighting and stuff. It gets destroyed by compression because of bitrate limits. But, you know, you look like right here, any of these freeze frames, there's very little pixelation. Especially when we don't have the vignette from the dog. Like, you can see there's very little pixelation. This is clearly fog. This is all nice. This is, like, super high bitrate. I wouldn't be surprised if it took them, like, a week just to render this trailer. Honestly. But then you go back to this. And, like, if I just pause on, like, this freeze frame, you can see so much compression around all of the fog. There's so many more compression artifacts, like, around the blood. Like this. Look at how terrible this shot is. You can't even tell you're looking at a face because the bit compression around the fog. This is something every YouTuber has to deal with. And unfortunately, like, they even uploaded in 4K, which, in case you don't know this, the higher you can upload a video in 100,000 bitrate. But if you don't upload at a higher encoded level, like, let's put it this way. If you upload a video at 1080p, even if the video is recorded in like 20,000 bitrate, it's an animation made with like that much bitrate or whatever, then they will not actually display it like that. You need to upload 1440p to access the internal, like, higher tier YouTube encoder. So they could go up to 4K, and it still has this just awful, look at the light. So the light source is fine, but then look at the volumes around the light. This has literally, you can literally count. This is the pixelated edge right here, and then this is the next color palette pixelated edge. Then this is the next pixelated edge. This is the next. Like, literally everywhere you can see it, which usually means that they just did not have enough bitrate baked into the actual thing itself. I do like this, though, the way the light reflects the sweat off of her head. Just a little detail, but the thing is, this bottom down angle does it no justice. Yeah, like, you could see this everywhere. Like, every freeze frame of this is so much more blurry. Like, I get what they're going for. They want the focus to be on the pipe, so, like, depth of field make this a little more blurrier. But it just leads to, so, like, I would not guess this is a 4K video because of, like, the bit compression all over it.
If you go back for 1 second, just look at the ogre's face up close. Right before that guy. There's something about it which, I don't know if it's the sweat, but you compare that with the faces in the previous trailer, something about it doesn't feel quite as detailed.
You know what? Now that
Like,
you're
something
mentioning
about the
it, you're right.
nuance
like
in
right
the
here.
lighting is lost.
Now that you mention it, you're right. Yeah, look at the grooves on his face. They're super, like, they look super in-depth. Like, right here, when the shadows are covering it, like, it looks pretty smooth. But then as soon as he, like, you know, like, it comes flooding. Yeah, like this. Like, this looks way higher quality skin than this. Yeah, you're right, because there's, like, this oppressive, like, bright background lighting that just oversaturates everything. Yeah, because look, the ground is lit up by this bright green oversaturating effect, and then there's this also harsh oppressive effect coming in here. You know, like, this guy looks like the Joker. Meanwhile, you can barely tell this is even a face because it's so washed out. They have to do, like, a dedicated close-up like this. See, this is the kind of quality that I've come to expect from Fat Shark. Like, this is great. Oh, man, I can't unhear the stim sound effect. Notice they obscure her face a lot with shadow, too. You know, like right here. Oh, here's another thing. Here's another thing I just noticed. Look, there's no shadows being casted off of his arm or weapon. Look, throughout this entire swing, this right here, this bright spot, it's covered by this, but there's no shadow. Yeah, no, you're 100% right, Rufus. Good call. It's the lighting. This is static, like, baked lighting. Whereas the other trailer had, like, rendered volume lighting. Because look, the lighting on her doesn't change at all, despite an object covering the incoming light source. Which means it's just, like, static prop lighting, which always looks aggressive and washed out. Yeah, look, the crowbar doesn't, like, reflect as she goes down either. It's like the same sheen across the entire thing. Which just comes from, like, a baked, like, light map or whatever. Another thing, the recoil on the guns is way less than you'd expect for something like this. It kind of looks like they just grabbed, like, a bone right here on this model in Blender and just gave it the little wiggle. Which is not what you'd expect at all.
I mean,
from
it kind
this.
of does, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Well, you look at the impact on the previous trailers, like, everything feels heavy and weighty, so.
You know, because look at the animation of this guy shooting. Look at his gun when he's shooting versus the ganger lady. You know, he's like, his whole body, like, his arm is bouncing with it and everything. Like, they got so granular, the cloth is bouncing in rhythm with the gunshots. Look at this. The cloth on his arm is bouncing with the stock kicking into the thing. And then, you know, you go and look at this. You know, you go and look at this, and it's like, you know, like, this is kind of moving a little bit. But then it's like, why would this even be moving? These guns are clearly not kicking a lot. Her arms aren't moving with the recoil, so why is this moving? You know, it's like, it's just, I don't know. All in all, I just kind of wanted to say that this trailer seems like they really did have to quickly remake it without, like, a whole lot of that standard Fat Shark quality that you've come to expect. I don't know, I just figured it would be interesting to break down the trailer. All right, see you later.